Good morning, basketball fans. Welcome to another episode of the Upstate Hoops podcast on FingerLakes1.tv. I'm Jim Sinacropi, and this morning I have Mynderse Blue Devils boys varsity basketball head coach Nick Sciotti, along with senior big man Ben Cafolla in studio. We'll talk about a wild week in the Finger Lakes East, take a look at some of the big games in the West and Wayne County, and we'll reveal our updated Girls Super 6 and FL1 Sports Power Rankings straight ahead on the Upstate Hoops podcast. All right, crazy week here in Wayne Finger Lakes basketball, especially in the East and West, where the league championship's still up for grabs. And as I mentioned in the intro, we have a couple of Mynderse Blue Devils in the studio just a few hours, just less than about 13, 14 hours after their win over Lions last night in the Atwood Gymnasium. I'd like to welcome in head coach Nick Sciotti, senior center Ben Cafolla. Fellas, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
A little early this morning for you, Ben. You usually get up this early on a Sunday morning?
Yeah.
Here you go, do some running, make some eggs and bacon for the family? Or?
Yep, food. Food every time.
Ben usually wants to practice at 6 a.m. on Sundays, not at noon. So he's an early riser, he says.
Yeah.
Probably real popular with the other guys.
I think he's lying, but yeah.
Well, a lot to talk about this week. It really is a crazy week. We had Mynderse playing Newark on Tuesday night. That was a game that we broadcast on FL1 Sports. And so Newark wins that game to get a one-game lead over Mynderse in the East. And then Newark goes and plays Pelmac on Friday, and Pelmac comes up with a 12-point win. And it's like this across Wayne County as well, or the West more than Wayne County, but the East and the West, it's really balanced top to bottom, and especially in the East. And Coach, maybe you could talk about a little bit how balanced the league is. Waterloo has one league win. They have one of the best big men in the league in Ben Deming, and they got some good players top to bottom. Every night you got to come to play.
Yeah, I think back in our first league game, Geneva, we interviewed at the halftime of the JV game.
Yep.
And I think I made the statement, I could see the league champion having 4 losses. I said at that time, I think you might have said 3. Yeah. And I think you might be closer. But that was based on that. My statement was based on the fact that looking at the league every night, you look, there's no easy games. I mean, Waterloo, like you said, I think they only have one league win.
One league win, yeah.
I'm not looking forward to playing them again. On senior night we have them, but they're just as good as anybody. So there's no night where you say, we've got an easy win. You got to come to play every night or you're going to have a hard time. We beat Mid Lakes at their place, by 10, 12 points, I think.
Yeah.
And we came back the other night and they had
just
a great
Friday
game.
Night.
Yeah, they're solid. They're a nice team too. They got a nice mix.
Yeah, looking here at the games this week in the East, you had Mynderse traveling to Newark on Tuesday. Newark, that was one of the best games I've seen all year in the first half. Mm-hmm. Second half, different story. Newark comes up with a 64-45 win behind 18 points and 4 assists from Jose Santel, and Taylor Clements had 15 points and 9 rebounds. Then Newark goes to Pelmac, and Pelmac comes up with a 12-point win, 70-58, and Brandon Hawkins, 21 points, 11-15 free throws, 7 assists. Holden Knorr, 12 points. Hunter Vandervelde, 12 points. And then, as you mentioned, Mynderse played Mid Lakes on Friday night and escaped with a 3-point victory, 46-43. Kellen Caraher had 14 points. Brett Anderson, 11.7 assists. And for Mid Lakes, it was Bryce Burry with 14 and Kenny DeVay with 12. Bryce Burry had 29 last night in the out-of-league game against Bath Haverling. And then last night, Mynderse playing Lions in the Atwood. It was a game that we thought would be a lot closer because Lions, despite their records, played everybody tight. But Mynderse really put together a nice game and came out with a 62-43 win. Jake Jones, 26 points. He had seems like one out of every 4 or 5 games, Jake just lights it up from 3, and this was one of them. Hit 2 threes late in the first half, and then 3 more in the second half, 26 points, and to get the win there. So let's kind of rewind the week for you guys. Obviously excited for that Newark game on Tuesday, and like I say, the first half was probably the best half of basketball I've seen all year. Both teams were getting up and down and scoring. I mean, everyone was scoring at a frantic clip. And then second half, it just kind of, I'm not sure. What do you think happened in the second half?
Well, I mean, first thing, the first half was that was one of the best halves of basketball, like you're saying, I've seen from our team too, out of the year, both teams. It was very competitive, and it wasn't bad. Even though there was a lot of points, like I pointed out to the coach, I thought it was good defense. You know, most of their shots were contested, our shots too. So it was really good basketball. So I guess at halftime, I told the coaches, whatever we did there, we got a video of that, so we never do that again at another halftime. But as I told the paper, I think Bob's a great coach. I think we got all great coaches in the league. He made a nice adjustment, and we run a lot of 4 out, 1 in, and they started sloughing off quite a bit, off of Ben or Jake, whoever. We have 2 big guys, so he put the Clements kid, basically kept him in the paint mostly, and they had a hard time getting it inside. Yeah, and then we missed some shots, and give them full credit. They played some really tough defense. Their guards can get after you pretty good.
Yeah, I think that you guys are kind of similar with got some good experienced guards in Brett and Jake and Kellen. And, Kellen's just a sophomore, but sometimes he plays a little more experience than his age. And Devin, and they have the Jose Santel, Brian Sharp, and Nate Beard. And then, they got Clements, big sophomore. You guys got your big guys. So it was a fun game to watch. So you guys split on the season, and I think it's the same thing that happened last year, right? Did you guys split, or did they get you at home?
No, they hammered
but you guys got it
last year.
I'm sure you want to get over that hump of winning at Newark.
Yeah, would love to. That seems to be that's kind of a marquee game or a marker game for anybody in the league. Newark's always been one of the top 1 or 2 teams in the league, so getting them is always something you look forward to on the schedule. Like to look forward to, but when you get it put to you, that's not so much fun. But
so Ben, what's it like for you in the East playing some of these big guys? You got to go up against Clements one night. Even Mid-Lakes on Friday, they got a big guy Milliman and Kenny DeVay, senior. So and then we mentioned Ben Deming from Waterloo, Sudbury for Palmac. It seems like there's a lot of good big guys that you're tasked with guarding, along with your front court mate Jake Mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun because they're all good. Yeah. So I mean, it's not like there's games where you can just go in there and think, oh, this won't be hard, because it's going to be tough no matter what. Because when you're close to the top of the league like us, and when you have size like that, they're always going to play as hard as they can, and they're trying to come to get you guys. So it's fun. I like it.
Yeah, and it's nice for you because you get to. You work well with Jake Mean. It's something we talk about every time we see you guys play. It seems like there's at least 3 or 4 times where he's finding you or you're finding him. And it's nice. You guys have this like a rapport with each other. Mm-hmm. Is that something that was just the first? Because he transferred over from Romulus last year. And did you guys immediately have that kind of unspoken bond to know where the other guy is?
Yeah, we both did, because we both like to pass the ball. Like sometimes we pass the ball a little more than we should, but we just, I don't know, it was just kind of there when he came over my 10th grade year. Our first year together, it was just there, and it's nice. It's nice to have for sure.
And not only good time, I guess, to talk about one of the unique things about Mynderse that nobody else has is the depth at the back there. And it's, we talk a lot about Bachman, Kyle Ruddy, and Aiden Trout sometimes gets lost in the mix. And even Caleb Sisco last night threw one in, had a nice little touch in, a little right-hander. But those guys are guys that would probably start, right down to Aiden Trout, might start for any other team in the league. But with all the depth there with Ben and Jake, how do you coach decide, because I've seen Kyle came in, had 6 big points for you against Newark, and I've seen Bachman get some run where he does a lot of great things defensively, and Aiden Trout had 10 points, 10 rebounds against, maybe it was Penn Yan. It was against Portmire. So who, how do you decide who to go with?
Well, dressing both sides of that, it's nice as a coach to have options.
Yeah.
But negative side is you have so many good players. It makes it hard for playing time and frustrating for the kids and the parents, which is always a tough part of coaching for me.
Yeah, I bet.
But I don't have a really set pattern. If you've noticed that, sometimes it's from practice. Last week, Sunday, Monday, Kyle had some great practices.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a good feeling going into the Newark game. So he got the first shot. He came in and he played really well.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday, Thursday, we practiced. And then, Bach seemed to have some decent practices. Kyle, not so much. There's some energy things there. So,
Right.
but he got first shot there. And then Bach came in second on Friday night. And he came in and did some good things. So then Bach last night got first shot. Bach played really well Friday and Saturday night. I mean, he's very, and sometimes you try to analyze matchups. And Bach's obviously a defensive force. He can be, in the middle of that paint, and depending on the speed and quickness of the big guys, you got to analyze that, and then there's offensive defense. So I wish it was football. Football's easy to coach. I say, okay, we're on the defense. All right, you three out, you three in. Bach there be on off the court on the defensive end. He's tough, but basketball, you don't have that luxury. It's a little tougher. You got to balance, great offense, weak defense, or balance it out. So.
And they all got to be ready too, because especially coming into postseason play. And we'll talk about that in a bit, what things are looking like in Class B too. But you never know when he's going to have to step in. I've seen games where Ben and Jake were both in foul trouble.
Yeah, Friday night.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean that's the hard part too. Honestly, those guys are very good. They'd be starting for a lot of teams, but I mean Ben and Jake they're just they're really really good when they're playing together, and the defense and offensive combination there is really solid.
Now, Ben, I've seen you kind of improve a little bit offensively this year. Earlier in the year, I think we had you at the chiropractic college right off the bat. You were struggling with some bunnies inside, and you're hanging your head a little bit. I don't see you doing that anymore. Did somebody say to you, hey, come on, man, get your head up, get back down there, keep playing? And
yeah, I have Coach and my dad to thank for that one. I got home that night, and it wasn't very pretty. So I made sure to get that out of my head quickly.
Sure.
Just try to improve. So.
Yeah, and I've seen you certainly have been more consistent inside and putting those away. And now the free throws. What are you doing about the free throws?
The free throws, I've been trying to do well on those because that one game, I think it was Clyde, didn't make one, went like 0 for 8 from the line or something. So I've been having Coach Prain work with me a lot and Coach Dave Baker to help me. Mm-hmm. So I think I've gotten a little better. I still have to improve, though. So.
Sure. Now, you mentioned some of the coaches, and that's something we always mention when we do the games. We count the coaches. I think there's more assistant coaches on the bench than anyone, and ball boys. I mean, it's nice, like an entourage when Mynderse comes to town. But great guys to have there. You mentioned Pat Prain, 1992 state champ. Mike Alessio's on there. He calls games with us, and is probably a great influence to have. You got Scott and Greasy Johnson. Scott's a JV coach. Doc Ruddy is on the bench. Did I miss anybody? Did I get them all?
I think that's all the coaches on the bench. Yeah, Dave Baker. He who helps, but he doesn't sit.
Yeah, he's kind of like a program guy. He's helping the program from right now. I saw him last night at the Lions game, and he mentioned how good my daughter played in their 5th grade travel game. So he's got like the whole spectrum of the.
He's amazing.
And he was honored actually this winter at the Mynderse Sports Hall of Fame, or maybe it was 2 years ago, as a lifetime contributor. So yeah, it is nice to have some of this support. And how do you kind of do people have roles or?
Yeah, we actually I take as many assistant coaches as I can get. I love to have practice and be able to split up. Mm-hmm. Let the assistants run the drills. We cover them, and here's what we want to do, and then I can float back and forth and work on different things. But Coach Prain's been a great addition. This is his first year helping out. He's totally engaged too. For a volunteer, non-paid assistant, he shows up every day.
Yeah,
have him and Coach Baker working with the big guys. Mike's been working with the guards, and Coach Ruddy floats back and forth also. Mm-hmm. And I spend more time with the guards than I do the big guys. That's more of again my expertise more on the guard side, but again we float back and forth. So everybody has a role. We split things up and work on things pretty good. But I guess Ben could address whether or not he's happy with the roles of those guys, but they're working pretty hard.
Yeah. It's nice to have for sure. Coach Prain has came in, and that's helped me personally a lot, I think, because when we're down there with the big guys, it's really, really competitive. It's great. It's a great thing.
And to have a guy, I mean, geez, I don't even think Ben was born when they won states in '92. Doesn't seem that long ago to me, but just having a guy that has been through it before and has accomplished some of the things that maybe you guys are trying to accomplish, it's probably easy to listen to a guy like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is for sure.
He has a good rapport with the kids too. You watch. Some people have a hard time connecting, and Pat's came right in, and the kids really, you can see they respect him.
Nice. So let's take a quick look here at the standings in the East, and it's pretty crazy when you consider that Penn Yan's in there still. They're 2 games back of you guys. Pelmac was looking like, I think was it Waterloo Pelmac lost to? Or no, Wayne beat Waterloo. Pelmac lost to someone. Maybe it was Penn Yan.
Wayne,
yeah.
Oh, it was Wayne. Wayne beat Pelmac. Waterloo beat Wayne.
Yeah.
It's and then Geneva beat Wayne.
Geneva beat Wayne, right?
So it's kind of crazy, but yet Pelmac's still right there, and you guys got them coming up in a big game. But really interesting, to see how this is playing out this year. And you guys went, like I said, from first to second to back to first, all in the course of a week.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, might be a good time to pull up the upcoming schedules for you and Newark. 2 teams tied for first, and we look there and we see coming up this week, you guys have Pelmac at home. Mm-hmm. Which the one common theme has been the home teams have won. You guys beat Newark at home, lost at their place. You guys lost to Pelmac at Pelmac. Now you got them back at home. And I think it's the same thing for Newark. Newark beat Pelmac at home. They lost to Pelmac on the road. So who's going to get that road win? And Pelmac's coming into the Arthur L. Baker this week. And, talk a little bit maybe about Pelmac and what you guys are going to be expecting in that game.
I hope you didn't jinx us, because out of the mix you just said, the only one that's got to play a road game, that's Pelmac.
That's the last one left.
Yeah, so... for me, my 2 cents on Pelmac, very, very good team top to bottom. When we you scout and you try to find maybe one lesser player that you can maybe not defend as much and help off more. Their 5 starters are all solid, all can shoot the 3. Very good players. So if they're on, they're tough to beat. The guards can shoot and they're quick. The 2 basically got 2 point guards, Hawkins and Wright.
Right. Yeah.
And then Noor is lights out.
I said, him and Jake Jones might be the 2 best 3-point shooters in the league, and they're both the same way. They get hot, and if they make their first 2, kind of look out.
Forget about it. He killed us up there, because he made some, and then human nature, you start closing out too hard, and he actually made some drives to the buckets against us up there. I don't even remember what he had, 20 maybe, but he
had a lot.
He had a lot. He really hurt us. So they're solid team. We're going to have to really ramp up the defense, and
Yeah, they're going to be reinvigorated too after that win against Newark.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny too. I was talking to Coach Avrilla after the game Tuesday in Newark, and I said, "Geez, no rest. Pelmac's up next," and he's like, exhaled, and you could tell that he was concerned. Those 2 games this week, he was relieved to get the win Tuesday, I'm sure, but no time to celebrate because he had to go to Pelmac, and sure enough, they win by 12. So
yeah, it was kind of, as I said, Pelmac's, I think, a great team too. So I'm not surprised they won. But boy, Geneva, Newark. The difference I seen on them Tuesday night was Clements.
Yeah,
his play, when they can get that kind of play out of him, they're tough to beat.
And just a sophomore too, which is kind of scary. He's he really took a big leap from his freshman to sophomore year, because he was on varsity last year as a freshman, but this year he's developed. He can step out and hit a 15-foot jumper, and
much more aggressive Tuesday, even from the December game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he really got after it. Ben could tell you
definitely.
more than that. He was after the boards more than I've seen with him.
And he has to with those guys. He's the only one they have. He's 6'7", and I think the next tallest guy coming off the bench might be Seinsel at 6 foot. So
Fortunately for them, their guards get after pretty.
Yeah.
Beard kid, he goes in and
Yeah,
he's a tough little player in there too. He gets in the mix, and Cowles. So
Yeah, those guys are those. And Jose Santel, we were talking about maybe the best guard in the league.
Yeah.
Which was actually interesting because during the broadcast, Brendan Harrington and Kevin Korzeniski called the game on Tuesday night, and out of nowhere, Brendan said, Korzy, who do you think the best guard in the East was? And he said, I think it's Santel. And then Korzy paused for a second, kind of looked through the standings, and went through each team, and he said, yeah, I think it is. I think it's Jose Santel. You mentioned Wright and Hawkins, and those guys are good. And you
Emerson.
Emerson
Yeah,
for Penn Yan's great, and you guys got Brett Anderson and Jones. But yeah, Santel is pretty fun to watch, and he looks, he's got a baby face. He looks like he's in 5th grade.
Yeah, he's a senior, correct?
Yeah, he's a senior.
How much did he play even last year? I was talking about the other day. I'm like, look how good this kid is. Last year, when you're talking, that's how good they were last year. Guard had
he came off the
Logan,
bench.
Yeah, Beard and Sharp. Yeah, they were loaded.
So one more time, real quick, looking at the upcoming schedules. Then you guys travel to Wayne, which is going to be
Always
tough.
Yeah.
Waterloo's no gimme.
No.
Luckily, they're at home this time, but I think that'll be tough because I think those guys will be looking at that game as they're out of the league chase. Sectionals aren't looking too good for them. They're going to be looking at that one like it's their Super Bowl, and actually it's on Super Bowl weekend, I think, too. So
we got our secret weapon though that night, so they're in deep trouble.
Who's that? Todd Reed?
Todd Reed.
Senior night.
Oh, that's right. He's Todd Reed starting for senior
Todd
night.
Reed
Good.
Tonight, so yeah.
And then, this is a kicker, too, looking at these schedules. You get through all that, and you're going to probably at that point be either tied for first or a game back for first, and you got to go to Penn Yan, which might be the toughest of them all because it's on the road, and they've really been impressive.
Always tough place to play, and they're again, very solid. We were lucky to beat them at our place last week.
And then Newark's remaining schedule, not quite as difficult.
But, home,
they're at home. But any one of those games, they could get nipped. That's just the way it is in the East this week. So,
Geneva could step up any night too. There's talent.
They're
there,
playing better. Yeah. So, let's take a look at sectionals in B2. What we're all hoping for is a Mynderse North Rose Wolcott game somewhere along the line. Those kids are a great group, and they're having a great season. They're undefeated right now. But, in order for that to happen, somebody's going to have to get by Wellsville. Somebody's going to have to get by RCMS, who's down there at 7, who is we watched RCMS play a couple times in the postseason last year. We saw them end Naples' season, who was undefeated at the time, and then we saw Lions just get by them with a fourth quarter push at the Blue Cross. But they have the whole team back, and it's actually been a little surprising to see the record at 9-9. But they'll be tough. Marcus Whitman is kind of resurging after a slow start. They got a couple big guys and some good guard play. So, Coach, when you look at B2, it's obviously important for you to remain as high in those standings as you can so you can get those home games and then maybe avoid a Wellsville or North Rose until the finals.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I'm looking at that right now. It looks like Wellsville would catch RCMCS in the quarters.
Yeah, so that'd be nice to get one of those guys out right away.
Yeah, that'll be, you want to avoid, no question about it, you want to avoid that team in the quarterfinals. You'd have to go through them and then a Wellsville and then a North Rose. That's going to be a tough road for one of us teams that end up there. So we scrimmage Whitman. They got a nice team. Leroy and Attica, I haven't seen a lot of, but I know Wellsville's solid. They beat Hornell again the other night. And North Rose is very good. Brian does a great job up there, too. So, only being 10 teams, I think there's 5 of them are pretty solid teams. So it's going to be it's not one of those you look and say, there's really only 2 teams. Sometimes you see that.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good bracket to get through.
Yeah, and I think you guys are up. You were C last year, so you move
C1.
up to B2.
Yeah.
Which actually, I don't think it's any easier or more difficult. It's kind of tough either way. It's just you got a couple North Rose and Wellsville really difficult teams in that bracket. But Ben, what's your goals for the team? What do you guys talk about? In terms of league title and in terms of postseason.
really just would like to go as far as we can, get to the Blue Cross, because I think that'd be fun, I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool to play there. Yeah. But, if we could just get there and win, or maybe just play tight with North Rose Wildcat, I mean, I think that'd be the best part of the year for sure.
Yeah, it's great to play there. Now, one thing that would be tough is North Rose did play there last year. Yeah. They lost in the finals, but that's a big thing to experience it, so you know what's coming the following year, which is something you guys don't have. But I don't know how you can prepare for that, but if you get there, it's a big stage, and we'll be there, and it'll be a lot of fun. So, yeah. So anyways, here let's.
Well, hopefully our schedule too. That was one of the reasons for early college, RACS.
Yeah.
Clyde's got a lot of speed and quickness.
Yeah, that's
some of my non-league scheduling was to try to prepare for like an RCMCS.
Yeah, and that early college game with those guys looked like they were a college.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the funny thing.
That was moving up from C1. I thought was good getting away from them, but I don't know. RCMCS looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, well, there's a couple charter schools sprinkled in every classification, so you just got to kind of play who's in front of you, I suppose. And we mentioned before we get off the Finger Lakes East here, Penn Yan really had a nice week after having a rough week 2 weeks ago. They had a shot at Mynderse and Newark. They lost them both. They come back with a 3-point win over Waterloo and a 14 or 15-point win over Mid Lakes. Sean Emerson had 18 in the win over Waterloo, 14 in the win over Mid Lakes, and Desmond Batten had 20 points in the win over Mid Lakes. And then there's a team with gets a lot of contributions from 3 sophomores. So, and Tanner Irwin was also out for them. He's back. So Penn Yan's keeping pace and really still has a outside shot at catching a share of that East title. Wayne, on the other hand, was resurgent this week. They lose to Waterloo, giving Waterloo their first league win of the game. They lost 63-53 in Wayne. Ben Deming had 23 points. Dikembe Ayers had 17. And then Geneva comes back and travels to Wayne and gets the win, thanks to 23 points from Tyler Tyson, 63-61. So that's pretty much it for the East. Going to talk about the West and Wayne County coming up here. But first, I got to tell you that the Upstate Hoops podcast and all our coverage of Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball is brought to you thanks to the support of Generations Bank, with locations in Auburn, Farmington, Geneva Phelps, Seneca Falls, Union Springs, and Waterloo. Check them out online at mygenbank.com and look for their mobile banking app on the iTunes or Google Play Store. And by FLCC, thinking about life after high school, get your degree at Finger Lakes Community College. And by Dr. Rod Littlejohn, delivering over 30 years of smiles with style. So, well, in the West this week, Whitman comes up with a big upset over Dundee. And get those standings up there so you can kind of see what we're looking at here. Started the week with a 3-way tie between Bloomfield, Naples, and Dundee, and Whitman a game back. And Whitman beats Dundee 64-54. Riley McLeod, 15 points and 8 rebounds. Big man Brad Stone, 15 points, 13 rebounds. Nick Young, 13, and sophomore, I think he might be a freshman, guard John Donovan with 12 points. Bobby Strait led the Scots with 17 points and 5 rebounds. And then Whitman, another example of just the parity in these leagues. Earlier in the week, Whitman plays South Seneca, a team with just a couple wins, and they go down the Jack Guinan and escape with just a 5-point victory, 55-50. Donovan had 19 in that one. Brad Stone had 14. And the great emancipator, Lincoln Bachman Lowe, 26 points for the Falcons. He had a nice week. And then Bloomfield, a little resurgent in the West. They beat HAC this week 58-44. Wyatt Conklin had 26 points and 8 rebounds. Hayden Ward had 22 and 7. And we actually have Bloomfield traveling to South Seneca on Thursday live on FO1 Sports, so we'll get a look at Conklin and Ward and the rest of the Bombers there. And also congratulations to Romulus. They got another win this week. They're racking up the wins down there in Romulus for Coach Joe Peisnack. They beat Marion 67-54, the third win of the season after snapping a 70-something game losing streak. So it's good to see that program back on the rise, because a lot of great history there for Romulus and South Seneca down there in southern Seneca County. Kyle Bennett, 23 points. Cameron Liskowski had 14, as did Bragon Pasamonte, 14 points there. So yeah, you look at that Wayne County, those Wayne Counties are Finger Lakes West standings, and it's up for grabs right through the top four there. Whitman getting back into the mix, and that's the team that's in B2 with Minders. But it should be fun to watch over the next couple weeks here as we close down the regular season. And now let's kick it over to Wayne County and take a look at what's going on there. North Rose Wolcott still undefeated. They had one game this week. They went on the road to Gananda. They handled it pretty easily, winning 59-43. Tyler Norris, 22 points, 3 assists. Garrett Hoyt, 17 points and 13 rebounds. And Enrique Mosman led the Blue Panthers with 21. And one of the surprising things in Wayne County here is how ER is just hanging in there, just one game back. And North Rose still has to go to ER and play him. So everybody's kind of got this feeling North Rose Wolcott being undefeated, just rolling away with it. But, if they lose that game at ER, they're going to have to share the league title. So, and ER, couple of tests on the road this week. They had to go to Red Creek, a very good Red Creek team, and they came out with a 4-point win, 59-55. Keith Butler had 16. Chavez Gaines had 14. And for Red Creek, Noah Fisher had his best game of the year, 20 points and 9 rebounds. Nick Klein, 18.6 assists, and Big Willie Meyer, 9 points and 21 rebounds. And then they also, East Rochester went to Sodus and came out of there with a 77-69 win. Butler had 21, Chavez Gaines had 20. And for Sodus, Kenny Comer had 20, and Jared Wren had 20. And then the other team of note really in Wayne County this year is Clyde Savannah. They got off to a little rough start, but they've kind of had a resurgence, kind of starting with their win at Minders, which was a bit of an upset after Minders beat them in North Rose. And we talked about RCMCS just now in B2. Well, Clyde went and played them at their gym or wherever they play. I don't even know what they
play. MCC they play.
They play at Monroe Community College. So RCMCS with an 86-80 win there. Derek Chance had 24 for the Golden Eagles in that one. And RCMS, these guys, they returned everybody from last year's team. Sheltier Harrison had 22, Jate Griffin had 18, and Amos Williams, maybe one of the best players in B2, had 18 points. And then Clyde took care of Williamson also this week, 66-38. Trey Canale had 14 points in that one to lead the Golden Eagles. And you guys have seen Clyde twice, so talk a little bit about the Golden Eagles and maybe their chances in C1.
For me, I was really impressed again from game 1 to game 2. Obviously, they beat us in the second game, but they came out and played the level of their play. I think that was a great game too.
Yeah, well,
it was
a
back
fantastic
and forth.
game.
It was 73-68, and I think Ben alluded to 0 for 8 from the foul line, but not to bring that up, sore subject up. But I really like their play. I talked to Tim last week, so I'm going to get the video of the RCMCS from him. That's because I was going to go scout, and I got out of that by him going to take care of that for me. What I said, you really had that team play well. Energy they had and athleticism, they really they hurt us that night. So I would think they have. I don't see their bracket because I haven't looked at it. They're C1.
Yeah, they're C1.
And I don't know what else is there, but I got to believe they're going to be right in the mix. For anybody they play with that athleticism. One big guy would help. Like I said, if they had one of our 5.
Right,
really
maybe you can make a trade. Maybe loan them out like they do in soccer. So when you play a team like that, Ben, that doesn't have big guys, is that harder for you to have these little guys like ankle biters kind of slapping at the ball, or is it easier when you come against a guy that's more your size and you can just bang with them?
I don't know. It's kind of a mix, really, because like when they're shorter, they're probably going to be like quicker and stuff, so you can't like bring the ball down below your waist, or else they'll take
Right.
it from you, and it's harder to get positions, and you probably won't get calls because the refs are gonna see that you have a lot of size compared to that kid, so they'll
Right.
like get a little hit on you or something. But
Yeah, Clyde's been playing great, and a lot of it. Drew Carnevale's a sophomore who's a great shooter. He's been playing well. Trey Canale played really well against you guys. I think he was a difference maker in that game, and he's continued to bring a lot of energy. And Derek Chance, just a sophomore still, and he's really starting to come into his own. So, Clyde really been impressive lately. So, kick it ahead here and give you our players of the week. My co-host Matt Verke not here this week, but he did give me his player of the week. So, Verk went with Big Willie Meyer out of Red Creek. He had 9 points and 21 rebounds in the loss to ER, and 12 points and 14 rebounds in a win at Gananda. That's 35 rebounds in 2 games in 1 week. So I think that Willie Meyer led the league in rebounds this week. I don't think anybody else had 35.
Not in 2 games.
35 rebounds. So congratulations, Willie. And then I went with one of my favorite players, the great emancipator, Lincoln Backman Lowe from South Seneca. 26 points in the loss to Whitman, and a team that I'm drawing a blank. Coach Lent had those guys ready to play against Whitman. Only a 5-point loss, and then 23 points in a win over Harley Allendale Columbia. So 49 points in 2 games for Lincoln Backman Lowe. So you got Lincoln Backman Lowe, Willie Meyer. Those are our Upstate Hoops players of the week. So let's kick it over real quick and talk about some girls here as we are ready to unveil the Super Six. And one thing I asked Jake Jones in his post-game interview last night was, better three-point shooter, him or Megan Tilton from the girls? And he said he was. I want to set up a shooting contest because I think Megan might be able to beat him. She's a great little shooter for the Lady Blue Devils.
Yeah, she sure is.
Yeah.
Waterloo game.
5 threes, I think.
5 or
Something
6,
that.
yeah.
It was a lot.
I like to see what the the high school mate of these two would have to say. Who's the better shooter?
I have no clue because they're both good.
Yeah.
you know?
He's gonna be a politician.
Right. Hey, smart.
Politician.
You don't want to make any enemies, right?
Is Megan
Right.
your girlfriend?
No.
No. Okay, just checking.
And really, Coach Anderson has Mynderse playing well after they had a huge loss of Heidi Miller to injury. I don't know if she's going to make it back in time for the postseason or not, but certainly the balance of the regular season, she's out. Have you talked to Heidi at all, Ben?
No, not really.
Just wondering if she's keeping her head up because that's disappointing. Just a sophomore, though.
Yeah, she's got a couple years left. She was very disappointed on the bus ride home from Waterloo. She was very disappointed on the bench or on the bus coming home that night. I felt bad for her, but as I told her, I said, "Hey, you could be worse. You could be a senior. You got 2 more years." But Jerry does obviously an excellent job. He's a very good coach. So and to overcome that the way they have is pretty impressive what they're doing. So
yeah, I agree. And a lot of people wrote them off after that injury, but they've won 5 in a row since they lost to Geneva on January 6th. This week they beat Newark 52-35 and Midlake 60-46. And so in the girls Super 6 this week, no teams dropped out. Same 6, nobody in, nobody out. Also receiving votes this week, Marion, they beat Williamson 43-32 on Thursday night. And Romulus, they've won 4 in a row since losing to Bloomfield back on January 11th. And so here we go. Get that Super 6 right up there on the screen. And got Bloomfield coming in at 6 with wins at beating Honeoye at home, and HAC at home as well. HAC, a really good win. They escaped with just a 1-point win, and Braylon Scott had 19 points and 23 rebounds combined over those 2 games for Bloomfield. Gananda actually dropped from 3 to 5. No fault of their own. They beat Williamson and Clyde this year. They're 15-1 with their lone loss coming to Notre Dame, who's in their section. So something for the Blue Panthers to look to improve to win when they face potentially in the postseason. South Seneca coming in at 4. They were 3 last week. They won at Marcus Whitman and at HAC, 46-26 at HAC. Mackenzie Kenyon had 22 points against Whitman and 22 points against HAC. So Heather Mott, South Seneca Lady Falcons, having a great season. And Mynderse just slipped ahead of them in this week's poll. As I mentioned, winning 5 in a row and playing good. And then this was a tough one. Wayne's been number 1 all year, but Geneva beat them 74-56 this week. Really took it to them. And Geneva also with a win over Palmac. So Geneva slides into first. When they played head-to-head, that's the best indicator, I guess. So Wayne moves to 2, Geneva's at 1, and there's your girls Super 6. Bloomfield, Gananda, South Seneca, Mynderse, Wayne, and Geneva. So now let's kick it over to the boys. Power rankings. When there's this much parity, it's really tough to when the votes come in. Anything could happen here. We had a lot of action at the top here with Palmac, Mynderse, and Newark this week, and Wayne dropped out of they were 8 last week. They dropped out. Also receiving votes this week, Naples, Mid Lakes, and Red Creek. Red Creek just barely missing out on that 10th spot. But Dundee coming in at 10. Let me put that up, the power rankings up there. Dundee falling from 9 to 10 after that loss to Whitman, and Whitman making their debut in the rankings at number 9. They were actually in the preseason rankings and our week 1 rankings, and then they dropped out. Well, they fought their way back in. They come in at 9 now. And Bloomfield up from 10 to 8. And so you got 3 West teams leading it off. And then after that, Penyan stays at 7. Clyde Savannah stays at 6. ER drops 1 from 4 to 5, mainly because Palmac got that big win against Newark, so they're back up to 4. Mynderse drops from 2 to 3 after losing to Newark, and Newark jumps ahead of Mynderse even though they lost to Palmac. It's very tight in the voting though, and when you got one team beating another, and then another, it's really hard to do. But one thing that there was no debate about is North Rose Wolcott remains at the top spot, still undefeated, heading into week 10 of action here in the Wayne Finger Lakes. So there is your FL1 Sports Power Rankings. And then coming up this week, we got some games that we're keeping an eye on. North Rose Wolcott on Monday night travels to Greece Odyssey, trying to stay undefeated. Thursday night, Bloomfield, we'll get a look at them on FL1 Sports at South Seneca. And then it's really a light week. There's some exams this week, Ben. You guys got exams?
Yeah, we got midterms.
And Friday night, there it is, Palmac at Mynderse. That's a huge game. And then Waterloo traveling to Newark. We put that one on there because, that's a potential for Newark to slip up. It's the way it is in the East this year. And then Saturday, the big Route 31 rivalry between Lions and Clyde. That one at Clyde. So we'll be there for that one. That game will be on Finger Lakes One Sports. So a light week of action, but a couple big ones and none bigger than that Palmac game at Mynderse. I'm going to check out that game for sure. And be at the gym at the Arthur L. Baker.
Greece Odysseys, and we scrimmaged them. They're not bad. I didn't know North Rose was playing them. So
yeah, it's kind of an odd.
They weren't bad. We had a good scrimmage with them. They were big kid, good players.
So Ben, while I got you in here, we got a couple more minutes here before we head out. What other sports you play at Mynderse?
I also play football and lacrosse.
So, and you're going to college, play lacrosse at Alfred, right?
Yep, that's right.
Nice. When did you decide that? When did that?
I'd probably say probably somewhere in the fall is really when I decided where.
Nice. And did they recruit you, or did you find them and tell them you play lacrosse? Did they come and watch some of your games?
Yeah, they came and saw me play in a tournament in Ithaca, I think it was, and then they came up to one of our games this year, and they talked to me afterwards.
What position?
Defense.
Defense, long stick?
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, you like Syracuse lacrosse?
Yeah, I do a lot. I like to watch play.
You get to go up there to the Dome. I mean, I tell you, I went to school at Syracuse, and, you fight the crowds for the football and basketball games. When you go watch the lacrosse game in the Dome, it's really great. It's really relaxed and easy to get a great seat, and you sit there and watch one of the best teams programs in the country.
Yeah.
So football and lacrosse. I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions here. Okay, like what's your favorite movie?
Maybe Goodfellas.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Like the mob movies.
Yeah.
Nice. And favorite food? What's your favorite meal?
Boneless wings.
Boneless. Any local restaurant you like them from the best?
Nope. Just
Anywhere?
wherever, yeah.
Okay. And favorite music, favorite song right now?
Favorite song? Does it have to be like recent or just my favorite song?
Favorite
in
song,
general?
anything.
Probably Lose Yourself by Eminem. Yeah.
You get sometimes pregame. That's a
Yep.
nice one to listen to pregame, right? Yeah.
Yep, every time.
All right. Geez, I think that might be all the questions I've written down here. Talk a little bit just about the chemistry with you and the guys. You're the lone senior. You got you and Bachman, and Todd Reed's a senior, I think, too, right? And the rest are underclassmen. That's the thing about this Mynderse team that I think some people forget about. Still relatively young. A lot of experience, though. Anderson's been at Point since he was a freshman. But 2 sophomores get a ton of playing time in Carraher and Devin Anderson. And Jake Jones is still just a junior. Jake Mean just a junior. Kyle Ruddy's a junior. So do you feel like you're the leader of that team? The senior that gets the most playing time?
Yeah, sometimes I do. I don't really talk about it much. I just kind of like to lead by my
example.
play. Yeah, lead by example.
Is there anybody on the team that's a little more vocal than others?
It really depends. There's not like one guy that's always more vocal. It's someone else every day.
Jake Mean seems to be pretty vocal out there.
Oh, yeah. He's pretty vocal.
I'll jump in for Ben a little bit. He is the leader of the team. He's the role he probably would rather not take, but he's taken over that role in his 2 years. I mean, he's come from last year, first year in varsity, and beginning to now is pretty amazing. It's impressive. He's a great kid. It's fun to coach, and he's taken over the leadership. The kids follow Ben. Which is good, and he does lead by example. He works hard. Jake does. Yeah, he might chatter a little bit more than Ben does.
Do you ever get in his face a little bit with Jake? Say, look, settle down, man. It's it's the second quarter. It's that game.
Yeah, sometimes I do. Sometimes I have to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. A kid like Jake Mean's really fun to watch. He brings a lot to the table athletically. And it's fun to see kids get excited. But sometimes I do feel like maybe he just needs to tone it down just a little bit and save it for the end of the game when the game's over and you've won. But yeah, it's I can see how you're leading by example out there. It's good to see. Heading to Alfred next year. And I'm probably gonna miss it.
Yeah, I will.
Lacrosse your favorite sport?
Yeah, it is for sure. It's definitely my favorite.
When were you always like the biggest kid in your class, or did you kind of grow at some point?
I kind of grew my 9th grade year, I think it was. I was always like 5'6", 5'7", kind of like mid-sized. I used to play guard in the 8th grade and 7th grade. I was a guard until I hit that growth spurt.
Well, that can help with ball handling. When you're playing guard, and then all of a sudden you grow, and all of a sudden you got those ball handling skills that you develop. So, all right, fellas, let's see, what do we got here? Coming up on about 10:50 here. Take a look at the upcoming live webcasts on Finger Lakes 1. As I mentioned, on Thursday, we'll be down at the Jack Guinan Gymnasium for Bloomfield against South Seneca. And then on Saturday, that big Route 31 rivalry. It's a strange time. Actually, that says 2:30 p.m. It was moved to 4:30. That game's been moved around more times than the Syracuse-Virginia game tonight. They're at 4:30. Lions at Clyde. We love getting over there and doing these Lions-Clyde games. There's nothing like that rivalry. And then Tuesday night, the following February 2nd, we got Palmac at Waterloo. It's a game that should have some league title implications potentially for Palmac, having to play a tough Waterloo team. And then I think we're really winding it down. After that, we got a boys-girls doubleheader, Mynderse Waterloo at the Arthur L. Baker. And I think Waterloo Geneva, although we're considering maybe flex schedule in that last game. There's a couple other games we're looking at potentially doing that might be a little more important in terms of the league implications. But
so who renamed the Waterloo gym? The Spo Center?
I don't know. I've heard that recently. Like I don't know. I've always call it the Waterloo Field House, but I've heard it referred to a few times as a Spo Center. I'll go with it. I'll go with it.
I like it.
Well,
I'm sure Joe likes it.
We might proliferate it a little bit, but yeah, it's nice to. I don't know. We like to add a little, call it the SPO Center. It's a little more interesting.
I like it.
So we're sticking with it either way. So, hey, Ben, Coach Sciotti, thanks a lot for coming in, fellas. I really enjoyed talking to you. Enjoy watching your team play. I feel sometimes on this podcast, everything we do, most of us are Minders guys. I got Verke on the team and Kevin Korzaneski, and Alessio does some stuff with us, and myself, a Minders grad. Even Harold Weber. The only one I think that's not from Minders is, Dave Barnick, South End guy, and Brendan Harrington is Naples, along with Tony Robinson. But most of us are Minders guys, so for better or worse, we usually are a little more critical and analytical of the Minders team because we see so much. So, I appreciate you guys coming in and talking to me about the season, and good luck rest of the way.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. We love coming in, talking to you anytime.
Yep.
So
maybe we'll be have you back in after a sectional title this year. Hopefully, we're looking forward to following you guys right through. So
that'd be great.
So good luck rest of the way.
Appreciate your support.
So that about wraps it up for the Upstate Hoops podcast. Thanks for joining us on. Let's see, coming up. Never know when we're going to be doing this show next week. I'm assuming it's going to be a Sunday morning, but we like to flex it. So keep an eye on the front page of FingerLakes1.com, the webcast schedule. Usually whatever it says about Friday is what it will be. Sometimes we're here at night, sometimes we're here in the morning, but guarantee you we'll be back next Sunday, so be sure to check out that front page for the live webcast start time. And so until then, for Minders head coach Nick Sciotti and senior big man Ben Cafolla, I'm Jim Sinacropi. Have a great week, everybody.